How do you build a legacy? One day at a time, one race at a time, one lap at a time. In 2025, Niece Motorsports celebrates their own legacy made up of 10 seasons in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. The team is owned by Al Niece, a businessman and a veteran of the United States Marine Corps serving in Vietnam. Entering its 10th season, Niece Motorsports has earned 9 wins and amassed 50 top 5 finishes and over 100 top 10s. The team has made NASCAR's version of the playoffs on 5 occasions. Follow along as we take you behind the curtain and into the stories of the people who've built the team. This is Ross Chastain.
My name is Ross Chastain. I've driven for Niece Motorsports for the last 8 seasons, starting in 2018. So I first got involved with Niece Motorsports after a phone call from Cody Efall. It was middle of the week in the evening, and I got a call from a 704 number, and I'll say I probably used to answer those a whole lot more, and it was exactly what you hope for as a race car driver. It was a team manager calling to see if I was available to come drive their race trucks, and I instantly knew who he was and who the team was. I had seen them at the track and raced against them, and he asked if I'd be interested in trying to find some races to go run. They had 2 trucks at the time, full-time, and was wondering if I would drive a third one for him somewhere, and he said Bristol might be available, and I jumped on it and said of course, and we put it together that summer to go run that summer Bristol race. The story at Niece Motorsports in the truck really starts at Iowa Speedway in 2018. I was just walking through the truck garage. I was running the Xfinity car, the red 4 car, and just walking the truck garage, just being nosy really, just looking at trucks and watching them, and walked by the Niece team and had talked to Cody already and kind of knew of him, and he just asked if I would be interested in getting in the truck, and I didn't really know what he was talking about, and he's like, well, you go get your driving stuff and come back. Like, the truck's struggling for speed, we'd like to get an evaluation on it. And I asked, like, is NASCAR okay with that? He's like, we'll get it cleared with NASCAR, just go get your stuff, I'll have it ready. You're about the same size as the driver. So yeah, I got in the truck and went out and made some laps and gave him my honest feedback, and it felt pretty good. So that helped. I think it helped the team. I don't know, it might have hurt them, but it was good, and that was my first time, I guess, driving the truck. Al didn't even know. Al wasn't there that day for practice, and he checked in after practice with Cody to, like, what's going on? Why is the truck? Why is there a different name? And Cody said he wanted to get an evaluation, and that was the start of my driving for Niece Motorsports.
Ross has a special place in my heart. He put a lot of faith in us early, and I respect that. Someone that takes that. He didn't know me from Adam, and I just respect somebody that has that much confidence in themselves, and I sure want to make sure I reward it as often as I can.
Cody, throughout 2018, was honest with me that we weren't at a spot where we could win, but we learned some stuff through Homestead, Texas, and Bristol. And then going into 2019, he told me he was going to do something that would change this team. And I, what, Cody, what are you going to do? And he said, I'm going to hire Phil Gould. And I said, who's Phil Gould? I had no idea. And he said, oh, you know Phil. He was a crew chief in the Xfinity Series. You raced against him. He was on the 16 car when you were on the 4. And I was like, oh, I know that guy. He was mad at me a couple of times because I ran into his car and outran them a couple of times.
This is a funny story. Years ago, when Matt was little, we would watch races, and he'd be like, "Dad, you need to get hooked up with this Ross Chastain guy. I'm telling you, that guy's good." And he wasn't wrong. And when he drove for Johnny Davis a lot, when I was at RCR and then Roush, we always had to hear about how Ross would outrun our cars with, far less equipment than what we were given. And so I was always a fan, of him as a driver.
Getting to know Phil, I remember the first time we met, we went actually for sushi in Troutman, and would not recommend that, first of all, but we were just trying to find a mutual spot to meet at. And yeah, he did. He changed going into that year, felt it at the first racetrack where we lifted off the gas, not Daytona, but could tell the difference in the truck right away. And he only got it better as we built new trucks that year. I kind of laugh now because we believed that we were outsiders. Nobody could tell us any different. And when I think back, I kind of wonder why, because Chevrolet was giving us some information and some help, not to the extent that it is now, I don't believe, but we hadn't won any races, so why would they? And I didn't start the season running for points in 2019. So, I guess I don't know why we would have gotten any more help than we did, but really when we showed up early in 2019, very competitive and had chances to win early on, then we won Kansas. That was when I'd say there was some kind of, well, who are those guys and why are they winning from our competitors? And we took that personally. And I took that personally of people questioning that Kansas win. That made me want to win again. And right through that time, we switched points. I saw the potential. And Al had tried to get me to switch at Daytona, walking down pit road, had the NASCAR point, like a piece of paper that switched my points. All I had to do was sign it. He had already signed it. And I just kept trying to calm him down of like, Al, we're here to have fun and race. I run for points in Xfinity. And he finally won me over after, the whole team won me over. So at the win party after Kansas, the whole team was each taking their turns, like trying to convince me to switch points. And it would have been too late for the Kansas win, but they wanted to switch for the rest of the year. So they finally convinced me, and it was worth every bit of drama that it was to switch. It was worth it. But yeah, the part about the chip on our shoulder, I sometimes I do struggle to kind of remember why, because we were the new people, but until we won that Kansas race, but we kind of already had that mentality before then. There was even times where I wasn't supposed to run the Las Vegas race, and the week of the race, Al decided to put me in. The team decided to put me in the truck, and I had no expectations to be put in. I wasn't committed to the team, but Al did it because, and Cody did, like they did it because they wanted me to be eligible to switch if they could ever convince me. And I was still not sold on it.
Let's talk about Kansas now.
Well, I'm getting goosebumps right now looking at it, because I remember so much about this night. So many things could have went wrong that went right, and to stand up there with those three guys was everything I'd ever hoped it would be. It made everything worth it through 2011, getting into the Truck Series and winning for the first time in 2019. I had seen so many drivers with a lot better opportunities and better just things going right for them in their career and not work out. And that night, a lot of things went right for us. We were a fast truck, but we were not just the outright fastest, but we found a way to win. And I mean, I can remember embracing Al and jumping up and down with Phil and Cody. I'm careful around Phil. I don't want to high five him too hard. He'll probably break my hand. He's that kind of strong, but it was just everything that I had hoped it would be. And to see their faces that we had done it. Al was there in Kansas, where a piece of Niece equipment operates out of, was really special. That night bonded us together forever. We had all won together for the first time, and they can never take that. Nobody could ever take that away from us. Not that they want to, but it's a core memory for me now. So goosebumps right now looking at it. We won Kansas, and I'm like, oh my gosh, what have I done? Until we won, I didn't believe that we would win. I'll be honest. I mean, I had never won from 2011 to 2019. I was in serious doubt that I could ever get it done if it came down to it. So when we were looking through the details I made a call to NASCAR and what would this look like, and they kind of paused, and I remember Brad Moran was our series director at the time. He said, well, Ross, we'd love to have you. And so I'm sure you would, Brad, but you take away all my Xfinity points, and I've ran every truck race, but you're saying I fit all the criteria, but I start at zero. And he said, yeah, that's the rule. So you had to be top 20 in driver points at the end of the regular season, and I had to win to get in. There was no way. It was a win and you're in system, but you also had to be top 20, which we thought we could do with our average points we had been acquiring. But I wasn't going to get there on points alone. There was just no way with the number of drivers in the playoffs, I would never catch them. But a win would put me in. So, yeah, it was really scary, and I thought on it for several days, and I talked to a lot of people in the industry about what they thought. And ultimately, it ended my relationship with the 4-car, but the thought of being able to go win more races and fight for a championship, as a race car driver, I don't know how you don't take that. And Al was giving me an opportunity to do that and a chance at a championship if we could keep competing the way we had at the beginning of the year. So, yeah, I made up my mind, and through the headwinds of it, there was definite blowback about it, and I don't like how it all went, but in the end, I know what my intentions were. My intentions were to run for Xfinity points, and then as the season progressed, I just couldn't pass up the opportunity. And I had a relationship with Al. I care about Al, and Al wanted me to do it. I decided to go all in on it, and signed the paperwork and sent it to NASCAR, and they said, okay, you now have 0 points everywhere. Good luck.
So still in 2019, we win Kansas, we switch our points.
Yeah.
Then we go to Iowa.
Yeah.
You want to talk about Iowa for a minute?
Yeah. Well, we had ran a few races after switching, and we did not win. I'll just be honest. So there was some nervousness about me, and a few of them, like Charlotte, I remember I tried way too hard, and I crashed the nose in on a restart behind freezing. So yeah, it was some sleepless nights because I was like, I only have a couple opportunities the rest of the year to win, and to make all this, like, I'm gonna have mud on my face if I don't win. So yeah, we went to Iowa. Truck was way better even than I had felt the year before when I got in it in practice. Phil really was a difference maker. The Chevy support we were getting with Lonnie Rush at the time was big. That was really important to a lot of that. And yeah, we went out and executed and made like a 3-wide move to take the lead and get control of the race. And then we're able to fend them off after that and really just manage the gap. That was there in Iowa and Pocono were the 2 most dominant wins that I've ever had. I just controlled the gap. I could have pulled away more if I wanted to. I just kept it close. I've been taught by my dad from an early age, you don't get a big lead. So you'll never see me with a 10-second lead. I'll just stay close and not use my tires. So kept it close and won. Walked across the bed of the truck, which is very dangerous. They are pickup trucks, but they're not very strong. So the bed of the truck is not made to support 150 pounds. And I knew where the braces were. I had looked at the braces in the Niece trucks because I had a vision of walking, not a vision, but an idea of walking across the bed because I wanted to smash the watermelon from the top. And at Kansas, I dented the roof in. So I was like, well, okay, let's not walk on the roof. Let's walk on the bed. And then I need to know where the braces are so I don't fall through because it's all very lightweight stuff made for speed. So I can see Emily with her hands on her face, like freaking out. She thought I was going to fall through and like break my leg. But I was able to get over there and smash the watermelon for all the world to see. They rolled the truck away. I'm still doing media in Victory Lane, pictures, the hat dance, all that. The watermelon was in there, all smashed on the ground, and they had an Xfinity race coming up at some point that weekend, or maybe that same day. And they were kind of like, well, how do we get it out? And I said, well, they said they were going to hose it out with the fire truck. And I said, well, I'd like to do that. Like, that'd be a really cool moment for me. And so they fired up the pump, and I blasted the watermelon out of Victory Lane and off into the grass. It was a really cool memory. We go to the media center, Phil and Cody, and we're in there talking, and you know, winners do, they ramble. It's their moment. It was our moment we had done it. We had won the race, and we were going to the playoffs with a chance to win a championship after not starting the year for points in the Truck Series. So it was a big moment, and I finally won one of those gas pumps. It was so iconic about Iowa Speedway. And when we walked out of the media center, actually, was when we were walking out and the hauler was kind of straight out from the doors and Tech was to the left. And we looked over and our truck was still there and the 24 was kind of parked next to Tech, but ours was up on the Tech platform. And I just laughed, said, "Oh, what's going on over there?" And Phil or Cody, one of them, said something about, "I don't know, we better go see what's going on." And I go into the hauler and I'm all excited, and the trophies are sitting outside, which I thought was a little odd. And I walk in and Lonnie is in the lounge and his eyes were as big as baseballs. He turns around and he goes, "They're taking it from us." And I said, what are they taking? I'm like walking in the lounge and I'm like slinging the checkered flag down and something else I had in my hand, maybe threw my phone over on the couch, and he's like, "They're taking the win. The truck's too low." And I was like, in that moment, just like, I don't know, like everything shut down. I couldn't talk because I had never experienced anything like that. So I jump back out and I run over to the tech shed, and Phil's arguing with an official, Cody's arguing with him, and I just walked right by him, walked right in the tech trailer, like the big NASCAR trailer was right next to it, and series director and tech officials were in there, and they said, "It's too low," without me saying anything. They just looked right at me and said, "It's too low. It won't pass." They tried, rolled around, we gave them a fair shake. We got to take the win. And that was right when they had changed going into 2019 that they could take the complete win. Before that, 2018 and before, I believe it was called an encumbered win. They would basically take the money, but they would still give you credit. So we would have gotten credit points-wise for the win, taking the money and I don't know what else, but mainly the points. And so we were the first team in like 60 years to have it all taken. So in theory, it's like we were never there. We got zero points, zero money. So I couldn't believe it. I said some things to the series director and in the group in the trailer that not really proud of, but in the moment I just felt like they were targeting us. And that's, for me, where the chip came from, was that I did not think that tech process was right, and I didn't think that we were in the wrong. Now I am incredibly biased, and I knew that it wasn't why we won the race, and but they were taking that from us, and that's what I believed. So I just walked away, and they rolled the truck off, and then the 24 team is celebrating, and it made me not like them, because it wasn't their fault. Like, they ran second, they never led a lap, but they're going to get credit for the win. So walking back to the hauler at the very end, my dad was there with me, and we were just beside ourselves that we had just gotten thrown out, like all the emotions that had just happened in the last couple of hours. And we're like the last ones at the hauler, and the trophies are sitting outside. Team's gone, truck's loaded, it's just the truck driver, just Steele. And I said, what's going on with these trophies? And he said, "I'm not taking them home." And I said, "Steele, come on, put them they're ours. Like, I know they threw us out, but it's fine." And he goes, "Ross, I'm not taking those trophies home. End of story." And I said, "With all due respect." And I opened the door and I said, "Dad, come on." And we lifted them up in there, and they're pretty big, heavy, kind of bulky trophies. I mean, they're small gas pumps. And Steele's just shaking his head. And I said, "Steele, it's not for negotiation. If it gets back to the shop and Al Niece wants to throw them away, he can throw them in the dumpster. I'm taking mine home. One of these is mine, and I'm taking it home, and I'm going to keep it forever. This is a moment that will drive me for the rest of my career, because you have to keep showing up, and I'm going to show up, and we're going to win again. And we've just proven it. We can do it." And he just shook his head, and he finally just let us do it. And they rode home in the lounge, and we still have them today. So yeah, some people might not agree with it, but the competitor in me knew we won that race. And as a race car driver, I'm mainly in it for the trophies. Yes, everything else is great, but give me a $10 plastic trophy and I'm a happy guy. This is a little more than a $10 trophy. We fly home, we're mad. We meet, and Al comes into town early that week, and when he got out of the rental car, you could see him from in the shop, and he's got some paperwork rolled up in his hands in like a tube form, but he just rolled up papers, and he had already talked to Cody and me about how angry he was and how just mad at the world he was. And because he wasn't actually at the track that day, so he didn't get to experience all of it. So he's getting it all through Cody, basically updating him on everything. And he watches the win, and he hears an hour later that we're getting thrown out. So the paperwork that he had in his hand was shutting the team down. It was noticed to everybody their jobs were going to be terminated. He would pay them through the end of whatever terms they had, but the team was stopping right there. It wasn't going to go to the next race. It was going to be over. He didn't believe that the series and that the sport was treating the team right. I don't want to put words in his mouth, but just angry and just ready to be done. Some honest conversations that day about how to keep the team going, and that we shouldn't stop because of that. That we're pointing at the trophies. They're sitting there on the ground right next to us, that we did win the race. And then I do have to give credit to Todd and Janet Bodine. They went to dinner with him sometime that week and talked to him, and they're friends with Al. And Todd told him some, life stories of his from his career. And we were all trying to massage Al into not shutting it down, because we knew how special the group was. But if the owner doesn't want to do it anymore, it doesn't really matter. But he came around and decided, let's move on, and let's go to Gateway, and let's smash them in the dirt there. Let's just step right back on their necks. And those are some of my words that I'll enter there. That's how I thought about it going to Gateway.
Is there a memory or a win or a story from your time with Ross that kind of sticks out the most to you?
Probably Gateway. I really feel like, everybody was just kind of didn't really know what to feel at the time. We had went through the appeal process and lost, and everybody was kind of down in the dirt, and to bounce back. And then, it took a strategy call and him believing in that and making it happen. And I think Gateway.
So fast forward to Gateway.
Gosh, that was a really wild race. Very unlike Iowa, where at Iowa we dominated. Like we drove up and took the lead. We just did. We were the fastest truck. And then Gateway, we took a very similar package, but we were just not as good. Starting in practice, it had been repaved that year, so I had never raced there. It got repaved the year before, I'm sorry. But I had never raced there. I had starting parked the year before. So in 2018, Mark Beaver took me there, and I starting parked. And my thought was I wanted to do it so that I had laps at Gateway in case I ever came back in a truck race, because that was the only thing racing there at the time. If I came back with a truck that was capable of running good, I wanted to be the best I could be. So I wanted to see the track. So Mark and Jay Robinson took me there. And we starting parked. Like, I had no pit crew. They put a full tank of gas in it, and I practiced, qualified. They refilled the gas, put one more set of tires on it for the race, because that was required by NASCAR, 2 sets of tires. And I ran until I ran out of gas, and I coasted into the garage. And I said, thank you for letting me do it. I don't know if it'll ever work out, but it made the team money. I was driving for Jay's Cup team at the time. And we did that the year before, and then we come back in 19 and we win. Really on Phil's strategy, no tires. We were competitive, but we did 4 tires on the first stop, 2 tires on the second stop, and no tires on the last stop. And that got us really from, further back than 10th at least, up into the top 10 with the 2-tire call. And then after the 4 tires and 2 tires and then no tires, that sequence of old tires at the end was what got us out front. And a really good restart, some really big blocks, really high risk stuff, but it got us the win. And I was willing to crash to win. Crafton had me picked up on the front stretch, and the black marks from my rear tires are probably still on the track. I blocked him that bad. And the no tire call, I remember when Phil called it off turn 2, called me to pit, green flag, and we had to run the access road around turn 3. And so I'm going through there as fast as I can, and he's calling no tires, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, we're gonna have a shot. Now, if I don't slide the tires or speed on pit road or wreck on the access lane. So came out, had a late caution, good restart, and easily drove to victory lane from there. That was a right back at him, and victory lane, I'd look over at Hermie Sadler and tell him, call it the lowrider. That was what we were calling the truck. It was the same truck as the week before, very similar setup. We just made sure it came up after tech, or after the race for tech, because you have the height of the truck when it's on track is right on the ground, it's scraping. And then in tech, it has to be several inches up, and we made sure that it did that. Didn't affect the handling of it, and passed tech. And I still remember I was still in victory lane. Gateway at the time, Worldwide Technology had a very small, like, concrete drive-up ramp, victory lane, very old school. And it goes to tech, the truck does, and I'm still there doing media, and I just hear Phil yell out, "Hey, Ross!" I look over and he's like, "We passed!" So that was great. I mean, I had no doubt, but just it was sealed that we were going to the playoffs, and we didn't let up after that. But that was a big night to accomplish that 2 weeks in a row.
So also that year you won the Most Popular Driver Award. So why do you think you had so much fan support that year?
Yeah, I do think that people like the turmoil of it, that I wasn't points, and then I remember after Kansas, I would get questions about switching points. The rumor kind of got started, and I don't ever know who. I had never heard of a driver switching before, so I don't know who got that rumor started. I didn't know it was possible. And then I would get asked about it on the broadcasts. I remember at Charlotte getting asked and stuff, and I had no intentions of doing it. And then when I switched, I think people liked that it's a little drama, and then that we were loud. We were winning races. We were big burnouts, and I heard a motor doing it. Like, I basically blew a motor up. I got too excited at Kansas, which I still apologize to Al for. And I think that, yeah, just that it was a loud splash for the Truck Series. People kind of knew of my name, but I had never been winning. No, definitely not several races. I'd only won once before 2019 in the Xfinity Series, so I don't know why. It was the same year we started Mellow Man brand, so we actually had merch out for the first time. We had a very generic, didn't matter what team I drove for or what series, people could wear my merch, and we had it at the track in the haulers, selling Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So even people that would show up just on Sunday would suddenly started seeing watermelon merch walk around and for sale. So we had a real groundswell of support, came on real quick, and the brand grew very quickly. So I don't know why, but they voted it. I was surprised whenever we were at the banquet and they announced it. Yeah, so 2019 falls in a very critical moment in my career, where in 2018 I had the opportunity in the Ganassi car, the 42 Xfinity car, and we went and won Las Vegas. It lines up right when I started running for Al. So at the late summer and end of 2018, I ran 3 races for CGR and 3 races for Niece Motorsports. When CGR shut the Xfinity team down in the off season going into 2019, I was up front with Ganassi because I was still under contract there. I was a sim driver and I was the backup cup driver. If something happened to one of the guys in the 1 or 42 car, I would go in. They had all my seat stuff, so I was very plugged in with the team. I was doing the sim work to prep the sim for the drivers to come in and drive each week, and showing up to their gym to work out with their trainer, Josh Wise. He was in the back of the Ganassi shop at the time. So Ganassi was very aware. They told me go race. Doug Ducart, the general manager at the time, team president, I guess, told me go race whatever I could, and said, "You're going to run those Xfinity and those trucks you've been driving." I said, "Yes, I'm going to drive anything I can." He goes, "All right, well, sorry, Bo, we have nothing for you." And then when it comes back around to talking to Chip Ganassi and to Doug Ducart late summer in 2020, looking at the 2021 season, they specifically noted that in 2019, when they shut their team down and didn't have a ride for me, that I went and found a way to keep winning, that I had won with them, but then I found a way to win in the Truck Series with a team that they didn't know until I won with. They didn't know who Al Niece was, but they got to know him because we were winning races, and then they looked him up and they asked in the garage about the team, and just wanted to know who I was driving for, because I was their sim driver and I was their reserve driver. And Chip and Doug both point blank said that you winning those races shows us that you will keep finding a way. And but not to get off topic, but the name of my dad's farm was JDI. It means just do it, and that's my mentality. So just getting up and trying to find a way. 2019, winning those races was key to me getting to the Cup Series for the first time in 2021 with like a funded team. It was a key partner team with Chevrolet. Everything you hope for as a driver. And they both specifically noted 2019 and winning those races. So you can't put a price. I mean, that has completely altered my career that we were able to go win those races.
He's meant so much to this place. I mean, we have a huge picture of him on the back wall holding the Kansas Trophy, our first win. And he's won the most races here for us. Because he is the reason we have a company. If it wasn't for Al Niece and Phil Gould and Ross Chastain, this place would not exist and it would not be here.
The first time I heard Press the Attack, I had to question like what, and Al just said, I want you to go win. I want you to go fast. Like we're here to try to win, and we had not won yet. So that's a daunting task when a team owner puts that kind of on me. I felt like it was like my responsibility then, and to be honest, I hadn't won a truck race, but we had the mentality that we could win. And so Press the Attack meant go win, and that took Phil Gould, that took Cody assembling the team around us. And then really, once they put it on the dashes, so they put it right where the driver stares at it in the cockpit. And I really only see it under caution, and it's a reminder for the restart. And the Truck Series, all NASCAR restarts, but the Truck Series especially, the restarts are where you win or lose the race a lot of time. And in 2019, it was all I had on restarts, just go as hard as I could and then hold them off sometimes. And that was kind of our mentality, was like, sometimes I'd run into something and knock a fender in or push the nose in and we would lose. But when the restarts were successful, like Kansas, it was the difference in getting the win.
So now what do you think of when you think of Press the Attack on this?
Yeah, when I sit in the trucks, it's still right there on the dash. The trucks are new. The team has grown. They're not coming out of the same shop. We're in our own shop here in Salisbury, but it still means the same thing, like coming to the restart, get the tires in a good spot, get a good launch, time the side draft, time the draft, and the run into turn one, and then the run through 1 and 2 down into turn 3, and that's the restart. That's pressing the attack for me. Whether it's pushing somebody, getting the push, like when we won at Darlington, got a huge push from Colby Howard. Like timing that restart was pressing the attack. So yes, it's when it's time to go on a restart, it's risking it all. And Al and Cody, like the team, Al knows the risk involved. He's seen me crash a couple of his trucks going for the win, and he's okay with it. He's disappointed in the moment, but he's okay with it.
What's it like to still have Ross come back every year and still race the truck for you? I mean, what does that say about the relationship?
I'm amazed, and I'm very proud that he'll do that. And like I said, we become personal friends. He's stayed out at the ranch a couple times just to come out, just to get away from everything. And when he's come out with the team, the big thing in the barn is who's going to sleep in the beanbag chair.
Okay, so I come back to race because I know that we can go win. We've proved it year after year after year, and we haven't won every year, but we've been in contention every year to win races. And I'm a racer. That's all I want. Like, I go back to the beginning, a $10 trophy, and I'm happy. It's what wakes me up in the morning. It's what makes me go through my days. And seeing the team grow has been amazing, and seeing other drivers get opportunities. Now, they don't all work out. This isn't the right place for everybody. Just like I've been other teams before Niece in the Truck Series, that other drivers were winning regularly and I couldn't win. And then I get here and I'm able to win here. So yeah, I want to see it succeed. I was standing up in my hotel room when Carson drove into victory lane, when he crossed the line at Texas, knowing that that was in Dallas. Texas means so much to Al and Miss Lou, and where the heart of the team is. Yeah, we're here in Salisbury, North Carolina, but that's where the brains are. The heart is in Texas, and Carson was able to go get that win, and a lot like my Kansas win, wasn't the fastest truck, but he found a way to win, and seeing that click for him was really, really cool, and it was a cool moment. I was by myself watching the race and jumping up and down in the hotel room. We were racing in Richmond that weekend. For some reason, early on, Al and his team at Niece Motorsports, which was much smaller when I got here, they just gave me a feeling that they believed in me. And at the time, I didn't have that with a race-winning operation. I had it with middle of the pack, underfunded teams. I had team owners that truly believed in me. They thought and believed that I was their best driver in the world, that I was the best fit for them. And Al believed that too. But with Cody and Phil, they built a team that became a race-winning team, and I was the guy they wanted to do that with. So they believed in me right off the bat. Cody said it in the first phone call that I think you can do what this team needs and get us to victory lane. I'm like, I've never won, you've never won. Oh yeah, I've heard this before, but they just kept backing it up, and they backed it up with investment into the team. Al has invested so much into building this into what it is, and doing what it took. It wasn't always this big shop. It was rented space and getting kicked out of shops and having to move late in the game in mid-season sometimes. So definitely just the confidence that they put into me in conversation. In Al and Miss Lou, I've had nice team owners before, but to have nice people that continually told me that they believed in me, and then they put together a team with trucks and parts and pieces and the people to go win, that's everything I ever wanted, and they gave me that. It is a family, and we're not blood related, but we've bonded over so many things, and we went through so many things together. The good days, the wins, the good runs, the pole positions and all that. But it's the bad days when we look at each other and we realize we got beat. Like at Homestead 2019, we just got beat. Not winning in the playoffs that year was hard on me, that we got all the way there and then we weren't able to capitalize and win races and go into Homestead with the confidence that we needed. I still believe we were one spring in the truck. Like, the truck has 4 springs. We were one spring choice away from winning that race. We just chose wrong because we weren't as confident as we needed to be. But going through all that is what has just, I guess, calloused us to just, goes back to that thing of it's us against the world. And I used to be a little more talked about thing, but I used to say I bring my friends with me and they all have Niece Motorsports on their jackets. So that doesn't always win me over on the track with my competitors, but I know that this family here is gonna be there for me, and they've been there for me aside from racing as well, and helped me through some things.
When talking about Ross Chastain and my relationship with him, on a personal level, I have a picture in my office of us hugging in Victory Lane at Darlington last year. And, he signed it, which is awesome. And it says, "Love you, brother." And it means a lot to me. And I have it on my desk. It's the only picture that's on my desk that I keep on my desk. It's the only picture I've ever had on my desk, other than a picture of my dad's race car from 1988 with my dad. So the significance of it is, yeah, were we friends for 20 years, 10 years? Nope. But we did something together in 2019 that put him on the map, that, in my opinion, put myself on the map. And we've always had each other's backs. We've always helped each other. Obviously, he's a Cup superstar now, but he's still very personal. He still comes by the shop. He still calls me. He loves Al Niece. He loves Niece Motorsports. He wants to see our drivers here do well. That's never changed.
In 2016, when Niece Motorsports started, I was a competitor to them. and I was driving in the Xfinity Series for points in the red 4 car. I was also driving part-time that year for Jeff Bolin in the 66 truck, most famously known for the Gamecocks truck. We ran a couple times. So it was a white and red 66 with South Carolina colors, U.S. University of South Carolina colors all over it. So yeah, I was a competitor to Niece that year, and would make my first Cup start the next year in 2017, but didn't know that then. Didn't know that was going to happen. But just racing, trying to survive. It's a time in my life where I look back, and if I probably really would have thought about it, I probably would have stopped racing. But I was several years into it, over 5 years in, and I just thought, why stop? I'm making a very modest living, but I was making enough money to live the life I wanted, very, very mild. I was renting a townhouse with a roommate, and I would race on Friday or Saturday night and be home and have Sundays, and didn't have to work very hard during the week. Try to raise money, try to raise sponsorship, and try to see the people I thought I needed to see in the industry of trying to find rides, and had a good little hamster wheel going of a life, I guess, and didn't know any different. And yeah, had no idea what was happening, that Al was forming this team and would ultimately meet Cody Efall, and they would partner up and start racing, and where it would all lead to. Well, it is truly hard to believe that it's been 10 seasons of Niece Motorsports. I've been lucky enough to be here for 8 of them, and it's been a great ride. There's been our definite dark days, but there's been way more happy moments and reward for what we get to do in this industry, and that we get to race and drive these race trucks across this great country. And to the next 10 years, next 10 seasons ahead, let's press the attack, move forward, let's go win some more races.